In this video, we're going to take a look at our integration with the Denon DJ control system. We support connection to the Prime series controllers, so things like the Prime 4 I've got behind me, and the standalone Denon decks that all support the Prime protocol over network. So what we can get into MagicQ, as you can see in our audio window here, we can get in the track data. I can find out the artist and track data coming in that my DJ has loaded into the decks. And most importantly, we can also get in the track timing data, so I can see the time of the track, and I can also see the BPM data coming in. We can use that BPM data directly in MagicQ to time things like effects, chases, and bump through Q stacks. So let's take a look and see how that's all plugged together and how to set this up. So I've got two networks running here at the moment. I've got my B4 or any ArtNet node, could be connected to my console via the red cable here. This is connected to one of the 4 ports on my network switch at the back of a console, which is configured in either my 2 or my 10 range, as you'll typically find on a lighting network. Then coming out of the Prime 4 controller here, I've got another network cable like so, and I've not got this connected to a direct network switch on the back of a console. The reason being is the Denon Prime kit doesn't have any network settings on it itself, and it requires a DHCP server. So what I've got on the back of my console, I've got myself a USB network adapter, and our current line of MagicQ consoles, the MQ50, MQ70, 80, 250M, 500 and 500M, all support USB network adapters for a separate control net network. The idea here is we can separate the lighting data, so things like our ArtNet or streaming ACN, and have it its own network, as you normally have, and have a separate control network for taking in our control data for things like our DJ system. So I'm going to just simply connect that to one of the USB ports on the back of the console. What I'm now going to do is go to MagicQ and configure the DJ system. So if we go to Setup, we go to View Settings, and we go to Network, you'll see the top IP address here is 2.0.0.2. So this is my lighting network coming out of the 4-port switch on the back of the console, as you saw connected to my node. Further down here, we've got our control net mode, control net IP address, control net subnet, and control net firewall. So this is for our separate control network. The control net mode, you have 4 options. 1, disabled if you're not using it. Static IP, so you can specify your desk IP manually. Dynamic, which would mean if you have a DHCP server on the network, that can give the control net IP address to the console. On the mode I'm running here, my desk is acting as a DHCP server, so it's giving out the IP address to my Denon control system. So I've selected DHCP server. I've just used the 192.168.0.100 IP for my console, so it's going to give out an IP in that range to my Denon control system, and with a subnet mask there of 255.0.0.0. You can see here I've disabled the firewall. We give you the option on the firewall to only allow remote control things, so that's if you're using our MagicQ remote apps, only allow those and not other control protocols. We don't want that. We need the disabled firewall, which allows all of the data to come in, including our DJ data, or we could block everything if we didn't want that. But we do want that on. We want to connect to our Denon system. So I've got a disabled firewall. So my console has now given my Denon system its IP address. This is completely separate to our lighting network, as you saw, connected via my USB network adapter. Under View System, View Status, and Net, we can see that there's our control IP below the primary IP, so we can see it's connected, it's found my USB network adapter, and we're connected up. So now we need to configure the Denon control system, and we do that under View Settings and MIDI timecode. Under MIDI timecode, you'll find an option near the bottom there for Denon Stage Link Queue. We enable that option and set that to yes. That allows then the connection to my Prime 4 connected here. And now we need to select one of our 4 decks. So we support connection to up to 4 decks simultaneously. I'm just using 2 at the moment with this system. So we go down to deck 1 and we can select Prime 4 1, 2, and if I wanted to, the Prime 4 supports 4 decks in it, so I could select deck 3, and if I want to as well, deck 4 as well, like so. And then now I can go to my audio window and hopefully see this data coming in. To open your audio window, if you're on a PC system, you'll find that on the window toolbar at the top. If you're on a MagicQ console, the audio window is found by holding your Alt key down and pressing the page button on the console, and that opens up your audio window. So now if I start playing a track on my system here, so I'll play a track on deck 1 and deck 2, you can see my decks are spinning. As I manually scratch, you can see the deck status changes as well. You can see the track data coming in, you can see the time through the track and the BPM data, and you can also see the level. So if I crossfade between my decks, you can see the level changing to show me which is my active deck. So MagicQ now knows which is your active deck. You can see the track your DJ is loading in next, and you can see when he's crossfaded over to that next track as well. So how can we use this data within MagicQ for timing things like our chases and cue stacks? Well, now we've got this data coming in the small display, you'll see your beat coming in at the bottom there. And if I go to a chase that I recorded earlier and press the select button 3 times, then go across to then my audio/DJ tab, I'm going to select audio bumps go/effects and set that to yes. And then my audio channel here, I'm going to set that to DJ deck active. Under audio channel, you have got the option of specifying one of the decks, so I could choose deck 1, 2, 3 or 4, and that would lock the BPM specifically to that deck. But what I want here is the active deck, so the active deck that's actually playing the track out is the one that's driving my cue stack. But you've got the options there. So if I select active deck and run my chase, the BPM that comes in from my deck is going to be driving the BPM of my chase. Now, if you want things to stop, say when the track stops, so if I bring the volume down or stop the track, you'll see that my chase stops now, and that's because obviously the audio feed has stopped. If I crossfade over to the other deck, you can see it's taking the BPM from that deck and running with that speed. So that's connecting to our Denon control system. We also support connection to Virtual DJ and the Pioneer control system as well, which we cover how to set those up in some of our other feature videos.